akkam jirtu barattoota nagaa keessanii har'a viidiyoo kanaatiin qormaata intiraansii bara 2017tti barattoonni kutaa 12ffaa qoraman buukileet koodiin isaa 449 kan ta'e lakkoofsa 1 hanga 19tti kan jiru akka kutaa tokkoffaatti qabadhee isiniif dhiyaadheera waliin hojjenna. Kanaaf hayaataan wabii tiyubii wajjin ta'uudhaan yoo qayyabattan bu'aa akka buufattan abdii guutuudhaan isiniif ibsuun barbaada. Viidiyoon kun vaariyaalii akka ba'uudhaaf share, like fi subscribe gochuu hin dagatinaan affeerraa wabii tiyubii yeroo maraati. Choose the correct answer from the given alternatives. Question number 1. What does the concept of poverty implies? A. The ability to lead a decent life. B. The incapability of using technologies. C. Shortage of natural resources. D. Deficiency in basic human needs. Question number 2. Which one of the following explains the link between conflict and poverty? A. Conflict and poverty are inseparable. B. Poverty and conflict have one-way link. C. Conflict can reduce the risk of poverty. D. Poverty prevents conflict to thrive. Good. The deficiency in basic human need is the concept of poverty. Poverty is typically defined as the state in which individuals lack access to basic human needs such as food, clean water, shelter, healthy care, and education. So the correct answer is D. A, B, and C are not the correct answer. Why? A says that it is the ability to lead a decent life. A human who fell in poverty does not lead decent life, while technology's access may be limited in poor areas. This is a result or symptom of poverty, but it is not the definition of poverty. Some poor countries are rich in natural resources, so shortage of natural resources is not the definition of poverty given under choice C. Poverty is about access and distribution, not about the resource abundance. Question number 2. Conflict and poverty are inseparable. Lamaan isaaniiyyuu adda bahuu hin danda'an. Hiyyummaanii fi walitti bu'insi walii isaaniidhaaf sababa ta'uu danda'u. Walitti bu'insi jira taanaan dhumaatiin qabeenyaa geessisa waan ta'eedhaaf inni kun immoo hiyyummaadhaaf nama geessisa. ግጭትና ድህነት ተለያይተው የሚታዩ አይደለም. There is a strong two-way relationship between conflict and poverty. Conflict worsens poverty by disrupting economies, services, and livelihoods, while poverty also increases the risk of conflict due to social unrest and inequality. B, C, and D are not the answer because B says that the link between the poverty and conflict is one way, it says. No, conflict can lead to poverty and vice versa. Conflict always increases poverty, not reducing poverty. Conflict never reduces poverty. It increases poverty. Okay? ግጭት ድህነትን ያባብሳል እንጂ አይቀንሰውም። ወልቲ ቡይንስ ሂዩማ ኒ ጉዲሰ ማለ ጥቄሱ እንደንደው so C is not the answer. Again, the choice on the D is the opposite of what is observed. Poverty can contribute to the outbreak of conflict. So, A is the correct answer for question number 2. Question number 3. Which of the following is the manifestation of globalization in developed countries? A. It reduces trade relations of developing countries by creating trade barriers. B. In the past, developing countries shared similar economic integration with other countries. C. It encourages developing countries to remove tariff restrictions from their markets. D. It helps developing countries set up their industries in developed countries, it says. Question number 4. How does trade imbalance negatively affect the economy of nations? A. By attracting labor migration to these countries. B. By encouraging job outsourcing to foreign countries. C. By enhancing reliance on export of goods and services. D. By increasing consumption of domestic products. Globalization encourages developing countries to remove tariff restrictions from their market. This means it promotes free trade, often pushing developing countries to reduce or to remove tariff in order to integrate with global markets. A, B, and D are not the answer. Globalization reduces trade barriers, it says, not reducing trade barriers. It increasing trade barriers. B is the historical statement, not the manifestation of current globalization. It says that in the past, developing countries shared similar economic integration with other countries. This is history, not the manifestation of globalization. The setup of industries from developed countries are for the establishment in developing nations for the reason of cheap labor. So this is reverse happens usually. So D is also not. As a result, C is the correct answer for question number 3. Trade imbalance negatively affects the economy of nations by encouraging job outsourcing to foreign countries. This means trade imbalance, especially when a country imports for more than it exports, can lead to job losses as industries decline domestically and also companies are outsourced production to cheaper foreign labor markets. But A, C, and D are not the answer because trade imbalance usually discourage job creation, which can lead to immigration, not immigration. ለስደት የሚያዳርጋቸው ይሆናል። ትሬድ ኢምባላንሲን ጅረታናን ጎዳንሲ akka jiraatu taasisaa jechuudha. Godaansarraa deebi'uu miti. C. Export growth is generally positive for a nation's economy, not negative. Again, trade imbalance usually involves increased consumption of imported goods, not domestic goods. So, B is the correct answer for question number 4. Question number 5. Where in Africa does the highest income inequality prevail? A. Mali. B. Liberia. C. South Africa. D. Mauritania. Question number 6. What is the type of corruption that involves the diversion of community funds from their intended use to individual pockets? A. Nepotism. B. Theft of public assets. C. Bribery. D. Kickbacks. Gosni malaamaltummaa fandii uummataa gara faayidaa dhuunfaatti oolfachuu maal jedhamaadha? የህዝቡን ፈንድ ወደ ግለሰብ ኪስ የሚመልሰው የሙስና አይነት ምን ይባላል ነው? Number 7. How does corruption affect economic development? A. By increasing volume of private investments. B. By reducing public spendings. C. By increasing tax revenues. D. By delaying completion of projects. South Africa has one of the highest income inequality level in the world as measured by the Gini coefficient. This is due to 1. The historical apartheid legacies, 2. Unequal access to resources and education as well as job. In fact, Mali has poverty but not the highest income inequality as South Africa. Liberia is a poor country but not with high income disparity. Again, Mauritania faces inequality but not to the level of South Africa. So, C is the correct answer. The type of corruption that involves the diversion of communities' fund from their intended use to individuals' pocket is said to be theft of public assets. B is the correct answer. A, C, and D are not. Why? Because nepotism is favoring relatives or friends in appointments, whereas bribery is giving or receiving something of value to influence decisions, for example, at court level. Kickbacks are part of an illegal payment returned to someone as reward for making a deal. Corruption affects economic development by delaying the completion of projects. In other terms, corruption leads to misallocation of resources, inflated costs, and inefficiency, which delays or stops important development projects. A, B, C are not the answer because A says that by increasing volume of private investment, this is false. Corruption discourages investors due to lack of transparency. B says that by reducing public spending, it says no, this also false. Public spendings might increase but be misused. C is not the answer because it says by increasing tax revenues. This is false statement. Corruption usually reduces tax revenues due to evasion and weak enforcement. So D is the correct answer for question number 7. Question number 8. What progress has been achieved by Ethiopia in relation to sustainable development goals? A. Implementation of the Paris Climate Change Agreement. B. Reduction of inequalities among community members. C. Eradication of poverty once and for all. D. Provision of quality education for the needy. Question number 9. Which one of the following is a non-renewable natural resource? A. Water. B. Air. C. Minerals. D. Soils. Question number 10. What type of scarcity is associated with a conflict arising between people due to unequal access to gold mine? A. Supply-induced scarcity. B. Structural-induced scarcity. C. Demand-induced scarcity. D. Population growth-induced scarcity. Reduction of inequalities among community members is a progress that has been achieved by Ethiopia in relation to sustainable development goals. Example, equitable, healthy, and educational services. A, C, and D are not the answer because implementation of the Paris Climate Change Agreement is not specific to Ethiopia's own sustainable development progress. Eradication of poverty once and for all is not achieved at all. D. Provision of quality education for needy. It is a goal, but not highlighted achievement compared to reduction of inequalities. So, B is the correct answer for question number 8. Minerals are non-renewable natural resources, while water, air, and the soil are renewable resources. For question number 10. Structural induced scarcity is a type of scarcity which is associated with conflict arising between people due to unequal access to gold mines. Usually, structural scarcity occurs when resources are available but access is unequal due to maybe political or economic or social structures like land rights or elite control of gold mines. But supply-induced scarcity is caused by actual shortage of resource, not unequal access. Demand-induced scarcity happens when demand increases beyond supply due to the population or consumption growth. Population growth induced scarcity is related to pressure from population increases not unequal access. So, B is the correct answer for question number 10. Question number 11. If you are a member of an environmental protection club in your locality, how would you ensure good governance of natural resource? This is conceptual question. A. By prohibiting the practice of environmental impact assessment. B. By guaranteeing the dominance of influential minority groups, it says. C. By minimizing the level of community participation. D. By taking part in collaborative management practices. Question number 12. Why are indigenous conflict resolution practices effective in reducing the acts of revenge and bringing peace in society? Gaaffiin kun gaaffii qormaata bara 2016 keessattis kan turedha. ይህ 12ኛው ጥያቄ በ2016 ፈተና ውስጥም የነበረ ጥያቄ ነው። A. The disagreements are resolved with compensation and reconciliation. B. They prioritize punishment over dialogue and negotiation. C. They are based on a strict formal legal system of states. D. The mediators enforce disputes to adhere to the formal laws. Collaborative management practice takes all stakeholders, communities, government, private sector, and environmentalists in decisions about natural resource use. It also ensures shared responsibility, accountability, transparency, and sustainability. So, D is the correct answer for question number 11. Indigenous conflict resolution emphasis on restorative justice, where the goal is not punishment, but restoring relationships, often through compensation, apologize, and reconciliation, which prevents further revenge and promotes lasting peace. This is the role of indigenous conflict resolution practice. The disagreements are resolved with compensation and reconciliation. As a result, A is the correct answer. B, C, D are not the answer. Why? Because B says that punishment over dialogue can worsen tension. Indigenous methods avoid retributive justice. And also, C is not, because they are not based on formal legal systems, which are often rigid and also less accessible. Indigenous mediators focus on consensus and mutual agreement, not on enforcing formal laws. So D is also not the answer. Question number 13. What is the central argument of radical theories on population growth and economic development? A. Population growth should be discouraged for better economic development. B. Population growth is a key to attaining balanced economic development. C. Population growth retards economic development. D. Population growth has a neutral role in economic development. Question number 14. What is the success story of most developing countries that adopted anti-natalist population policy? A. Attracting immigrants from all over the world. B. Providing incentives for females who give birth. C. Lowering the rate of fertility and population growth. D. Restricting the provision of family planning services. Radical theories are theories like that of the population theory, including Marcus. According to the radical theory, population growth retards economic development. C is the correct answer. A, B, D are not the answer, because radical theory argues that Population growth diverts resources, increases unemployment, strains infrastructure, and slows economic progress, especially in poor countries. Since it discourages growth, it is not the central radical theory, but it is a neo-Malthusian views, like that of Malthus view, in which population increment leads to shortage of food. B is also optimistic or liberal view that sees population as an economic resource, post-Rabbian theory, which means. D, saying population growth has a neutral effect, is a demographic transition view, not a radical theory. Lowering the rate of fertility and the population growth is a success story of most developing countries that adopted antinatalist population policy. C is the correct answer again. Antinatalist policy aims to reduce birth rates, to ease pressure on resource and also improving development. Countries like China, India, and Ethiopia are adopting such measures successfully to slow population growth. A says that attracting immigrants is a pronatalist policy, not antinatalist population policy. Incentives for females to give birth encourage higher birth rates, opposite of antinatalist policy. A family planning is a part of the policy. Success is not measured by restricting it, but by educating and offering voluntary access. Restricting implies coercion, which is not sustainable or ethical. Question number 15. Why is climate change becoming a pressing environmental issue of the current time? A. It severely threatens the human and the natural system of the world. B. Its effect is easily reversed and controlled with little effort. C. Its impact is confined to developed nations of the world. D. Its causes are mainly attributed to natural factors and processes. Question number 16. Which one of the following is the effect of desertification? A. It increases the quality of water in downstream areas. B. It allows the rapid regeneration of soil resources. C. It raises the agricultural productive capacity of the land. D. It enhances the vulnerability of the land to climate change. Climate change becoming a pressing environmental issue of the current time because it severely threatens the human and the natural system of the world. It leads to rising sea level, more extreme weather, loss of biodiversities, food insecurity, and affect ecosystem globally. It poses significant risks to both human societies and natural systems. So, A is the correct answer for question number 15. B, C, D are not the answer. B, climate change is complete and not easily reversed. It requires long-term and global effort. Climate change affects all nations, often hitting developing nations harder due to the limited adaptive capacities. And also, D is not. Natural factors play a minor role, but human activities like burning fossil fuels are the main causes of climate change. The major effect of desertification is that it enhances the vulnerability of the land to climate change, which means desertification leads to soil degradation, reducing vegetation cover, and increases the land's sensitivity to climate extremes like drought and floods. A, B, and C are not the answer because desertification reduces water quality due to erosion and sedimentation. But B says that increasing water quality, so it is not. B is also not the answer because desertification depletes soil nutrients, not regenerating them. Desertification lowers productivity due to poor soil and water retention. For this reason, C is not also the answer. As a result, D is the correct answer for question number 16. Question number 17. Which one of the following is being practiced in Ethiopia to combat desertification? A. The Dry Land Development Project. B. The Green Legacy Program. C. Presidential Project on Soil Erosion. D. The Urban Safety Net Program. Question number 18. What type of drought occurs when a soil moisture deficit happens consistently? A. Meteorological drought. B. Intermittent drought. D. Hydrological droughts. C. Agricultural droughts. Question number 19. Among the following, which one explains the incidence of famine? A. The most disastrous famine in Ethiopia took place in 1990s. B. Recently, its frequency is increasing in Western Europe. C. Its occurrence was rare during the Middle Ages in Europe. D. During the 19th century, the Great Famine occurred in Ireland. The Dry Land Development Project is being practiced in Ethiopia to combat desertification. A is the correct answer. This project involves afforestation, soil conservation, and water harvesting in arid and semi-arid regions to combat land degradation and desertification. Agricultural drought is a type of drought that occurs when a soil moisture deficit happens consistently. Agricultural drought refers to a situation where there is insufficient soil moisture to support crops regardless of rainfall amounts. So, C is the correct answer for question number 18. The most disastrous famine in Ethiopia took place in between 1980s and 1990s. A is the correct answer.
Chaanalii keessan Lesson 17 Tube waan daawwattaniif galatooma. Lesson 17 Tube chaanalaachun sila gobanyaachuu amasagganaalla. Lesson 17 Tube chaanalii milkoomina egeree dhalootaaf dhimmu.